Yeah, I honestly believe that recognition plays a big part in our decisions, in our families' lives. When you think about it, like, wait a minute, the reason why I am doing this is in order for me to be recognized by someone else. And when I do a lot of couples therapy, one of the main issues that almost always, usually comes up is the lack of recognition between the spouses, where one spouse does not recognize what the other one does, and the other one wants the other one to truly admit that that one does that, and they see that. So recognition plays a big role. I mean, I've heard stories of people that they went in the same path as far as academically or profession wise, because it was the same thing that their father did and they wanted the recognition of their father or their mother. Recognition does play a big part, and it usually also plays a big part too when we're talking about God, because sometimes we feel that we want to receive the recognition from God. And there is a book, um it's called Talking with My Father, of Ray Stedman, and he tells us a story of a couple who, like, they dedicated their lives on the mission field in the most inhospitable regions of the face of the earth, and they were subject to all kinds of suffering and deprivation for over 50 years. 50 years of service. And after 50 years of service, they were finally ready to retire. Being retired, they were sent back to their beloved homes. It was on a boat, exactly on a boat. And on their trip, they started to imagine, if they were going to receive a welcoming reception, or who was going to be there, or what was going to be like, coming back to the homeland. And they imagine, our sponsor is going to be there, our pastor is going to be there, our friends, our family is going to be there. And each day it passed, and the closer they got home, the more anxious they got. Until one day, looking outside of the window, they saw the port. And to their surprise, man, it was filled with people cheering, waving flags and their hats. And there were fireworks started pop, 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 pop. And there was a band. Da, 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 and it was playing. They looked at each other and said to one another, look at what is prepared for us coming back home. They recognize us. And they celebrated and cheered together, and anxious to receive their celebration and their recognition as soon as they disembarked the boat. But to their misfortune, since they were traveling in a third class, the disembarkment was done through the priority of the classes, and so they were going to be the last one to leave. And once they finally left the boat, to their surprise, their reception was a whole lot of shredded papers and trash on the floor of the dock, and everyone else left because the reception party wasn't for them. It was instead for a politician. And the missionary couple, frustrated, headed to their old home that was for a very, very long time left closed. Coming in, it was all dusty and with the smell or stench of something abandoned. You know exactly how that is. And looking around the pictures on the walls and on the frames, they realized the forgetfulness of the time. They forgot how much time has passed because they finally saw their youth a long time ago. And the men, seeing that so much time has passed by and coming back home to their situation, became disgusted and insulted, And so he said to his wife, you know what? I can't stay here. I'm going to go for a walk. Meanwhile, why don't you ask God if this is what he had prepared for us? After 50 years of service to the people, service to the ministry, service to the gospel. And he went out of the house just like any regular angry man would do, slamming the door. And boy, did he walk. He walked until finally he got tired and finally went back home. When he arrived at home, he found his wife fiddling with some things in the kitchen, he asks her with an ironic tone, "So, did you ask God if this is what he had prepared for us to receive returning home?" And she answers, still looking down, but with such a satisfaction, "Why, dear, yes, I did." And the husband then asks, "So what did he say?" And she turns around, looking right in the eyes of those tiresome eyes. And she said, "God told me to tell you that we're not home yet." And so that's like us with recognition sometimes. Because sometimes we want to receive recognition right now. And this is why sometimes we love sometimes, because we want to receive recognition. But the idea is this, if you decided to love, I need to inform you that you decided to be bothered. Yeah. Because for loving sometimes hurt, bothers us, causes us pain. Because to dedicate yourself to someone else is to wear yourself out for that person. It's like the popular saying says, to do good without looking at home. To love what others can't love. And listen, if you decided to love, people will insist for you to give up, saying that it's not worth it. They'll say that any sacrifice that points to that way, it's silly. And in the end, there will be no positive result. But today I want to share to you, it's like a word of the Apostle Paul, who wrote his first letter to the Corinthians, saying, "Beloved brothers, be always abundant and constant in the Lord's work, knowing that all your work to the Lord is not in vain." That there is satisfaction in life. There is satisfaction when all of a sudden we are living for someone or for some cause that is greater than our own particular little world that we created because we want to hide ourselves from the others. So we must never stop doing good, because technically by doing good, what we are actually doing is making little homes in the hearts of people. Which, by the way, there's no better place for somebody to live than in the heart of someone else. I love that aspect, because even God knows that. And one day he decided for himself that he was no longer going to be living in a temple made out of hands of man, but instead he wanted to live in the heart of a human. So regardless of your belief, of your faith, of your understanding of the spiritual world, we have some things in common. We are humans. We're created in the image of God. We want peace. We want everyone to live well. We want for love to reign on all spheres of our lives. And that missionary couple will not go without any reward. No, because no act of kindness, no hug is vain, no act of generosity, no act will be without reward. In eternity, we'll be sure to reveal that to us. So if you stop doing good, if you stop practicing love because, they didn't recognize you, they didn't hug you, because they didn't throw you a welcoming party, I feel sorry to tell you that you were doing all for the wrong reasons. You can start all over again. But this time, do it without expecting anything in return, knowing that one day you will get home and God will finally throw you the recognition or the welcoming party that you've been so desperately waiting to receive. God bless you. Jesus loves you. And remember, think holy.